Just want to do like history class style. Talk about this like a history class, like they should be talking about it in history classes in the future when they're talking about January 30th, 2026. It's the day that Trump did a terrorist attack on the First Amendment by arresting, kidnapping Don Lemon. Now they got me saying it. We can't call these things arrests when they're not legitimate law enforcement. You know, you could say that all the ICE kidnappings are kidnappings because they're not a legitimate law enforcement. None of them are law enforcement. Like, they're not law enforcement officers. There's not a law that's being enforced. It's like if it was parking meter, if it was meter people giving out tickets, then we wouldn't have so much of a problem. But it's if it's meter people kidnapping people, that's a problem. And that's kind of what we're looking at. Is mall cops kidnapping people, or if it's, neighborhood watch patrol, what's his name, Skittles dude, kidnapping people, that Skittles signing bastard Zimmerman, if it's him at Rittenhouse kidnapping people, that's a problem. And I think the way we should look at it is a trap for the people who ended up doing it. Like, there's so much lawlessness coming from Trump. The entire conversation for months has been who would obey these illegal orders, and you don't have to obey illegal orders. And even after the entire conversation was about not obeying legal orders, like in the middle of one of the peaks of the conversation about not obeying illegal orders, Trump conducted illegal orders of illegally ordering people to kidnap Maduro. And they not only kidnapped him, they incapacitated his guards and executed him, and did all this illegal stuff along the illegal way of following these illegal orders. And even though we had all these people talking about not following illegal orders, we didn't have anybody that I'm aware of talking about how all those people have followed illegal orders and there should be consequences for them breaking the law. Even if they cannot yet, for some reason, give consequences to Trump himself, everybody else in the chain of command who kidnapped Maduro should have consequences for breaking the law and following illegal orders. Just like everybody in the chain of command of whatever agency it was that kidnapped Don Lemon should have consequences. Just like everybody in the chain of command of the ICE terrorists who are kidnapping all these people and killing all these people should have consequences for obeying these illegal orders. That's everybody in the chain of command from the top to the bottom. And then you get to Trump and the Supreme Court for enabling this stuff once you have the power to do that. But as I was emphasizing in a video I posted earlier today, if they don't stop Trump before the midterms, if you want midterms, you got to impeach Trump before the midterms. You know, you've got to impeach Trump with all quickness, and you should have everybody in the 2A crowd on your side now. Should have any Republicans in the Senate and any Republicans in the Congress who are actually 2A on your side now. So it should be a lesson to everybody that any Republicans who aren't siding with 2A against Trump, you can't trust them. You're going to have to replace them if you believe in 2A yourself. And now we have the same for 1A. Now we have Don Lemon getting kidnapped, which is a terrorist attack on the First Amendment. And no one, if people are not talking about impeaching Trump right now for arresting Don Lemon, you can impeach him for all the other things too. But you can just start with, hey, we've got such a clear case with Don Lemon. We've got the evidence. I watched the live stream. We've all got the evidence that this is a terrorist attack on the First Amendment. Just like we all have the evidence that the execution of gun owner, American hero, and martyr who owned a gun, Alex Preddy, that killing Alex Preddy for owning a gun was a terrorist attack on the Second Amendment. The NRA is starting to wake up and see that. I don't think they're waking up fast enough because they still try to diss the Democrats in their statement. But it's like, dudes, Trump's got a list of who you are. Turning against Trump is going to put a target on your back. You've turned against Trump enough. The NRA has. So it is NRA versus Trump, whether they realize it yet or not. The longer it takes them to realize it, like the NRA has a lot more power than Trump does when it comes down to it, because a lot of it's the same base. So once the NRA turns against Trump, once people have to choose sides between the NRA and Trump, once they realize they have to choose guns or Trump, they're going to, the NRA is going to win, but it's going to get messier and messier the longer they wait to choose sides. It's going to get a lot harder for them to win because Trump will be coming for them. No, it's not an attack on their First Amendment, dude. Like, you have no place here. Okay, you're a Nazi. We're not going to argue about it because anybody that matters already knows you're a Nazi. Say, there we go. We got an American in chat. Second Amendment over Trump any day. And hasn't everybody in the Second Amendment group been agreed with you? Like, don't you feel like everybody in the Second Amendment circles is like, actually, fuck Trump? Second Amendment. He made you choose by killing Alex Preddy. Just like he's making anybody who claims or believes in the First Amendment choose by kidnapping Don Lemon. It's time to choose. And the truth is, you're going to choose between Jesus and Trump too, because Trump is the Antichrist. He's going to turn you against your scripture and what you know about Jesus. I mean, he already has, but he's going to fully turn you against Jesus. He sued to starve us. He sued to take away our food stamps and starve us. And the Supreme Court ruled to allow him to take away our food stamps and starve us. That's the opposite of Jesus. That's the Antichrist. So everything he's ever done is Antichrist. If you do the opposite of what Trump says, thinks, and does, then you can connect with Jesus. I don't know who that is. I don't know whose name you just listed in the chat. So here's the thing. The only reason Nazis have ever been allowed in this chat is so that Nazi hunters can hunt them in the future. I somewhat believe in blocking them at this time because we actually have real people in the chat sometimes. I somewhat believe in muting them. But right now, we're going to get some of them to recognize that they're choosing between guns and Trump. We know that some of them are realizing that's the choice. The rest of them are going to have to wake up, or if they're going to declare their loyalty for Trump, then the gun owners, the people who are for guns' rights, will know who the traitors are. So you guys do realize that Trump's a Nazi. Trump's destroying America for Putin, who's a Nazi. And they're Klansmen, right? I know some of you guys are fine with that. That's your brand. That's on brand for your armband. You want to do him a Roman salute. Like, a lot of the trolls are like that. But you don't matter. You're only here to like prove points. You're only here for cautionary examples. I'll Reiki your racism away. Bless you as well. Goddess bless you as well. May you also be well in all ways. So, by Trump kidnapping Don Lemon, it almost seemed like it happened days ago, but I guess it was just this morning. Trump kidnapped Don Lemon, and the way people talk about it is going to reveal whether they're American or whether they're traitors. And we've pretty much got, the longer they let this go on, the more people get consequences for it. Because there just become more and more litmus tests like this. Are you a traitor for Trump? Are you an American? So, yeah, we will take America back. Don't worry. Or, it's the end of America. It's not that important whether we take America back or it's the end of America. But those are the two options. We just don't need to let it end on Trump's terms. We don't need to let it end according to Trump and Putin's plan. I got one good plan for ending America that does not go the way Trump and Putin wanted. And that's just to be talking about very openly Canada and Mexico. You can annex this country, but what we'd prefer if you do is that your plan when you annex it, your like righteous cause, is to facilitate the giving the land back to the indigenous people who lived here before. Don't have it just like double the size of Canada and triple the size of Mexico. Have it, you be caretaker governments to give the land back to the indigenous people. So that idea is always popular with any Americans I ever contact, but I don't get to contact that many Americans. Oh, Vendetta Key is here. So Vendetta Key, I think you might be American, or at least you're pro-American. What do you think of the idea? Is if Trump's about to destroy the country anyway, can we get Canada and Mexico to annex us and facilitate land back to the indigenous people? Safest, most responsible thing to do. Yeah, exactly. End of countries is no big deal. It's a shame that this is how we ended it. That Trump is how we ended it. But I think there'll be a lot of anger left over no matter what happens to the country. There's a lot of people who live here. And what are they going to do with their spare time other than hunt down the people who ruined the country? I'm just saying, that's just the way people operate. That's just looking into the future. Yeah, somebody's whining about being a Zionist in chat. Maybe don't be a Zionist. Okay? They shut off your ability to say Zionist on TikTok. We can say it here, so I'm going to go ahead and criticize Zionists. And we should rescue TikTok from being Trump talk. They captured our old friend TikTok, and we should rescue him. Anyway. We need to stop supporting Gestapo country. Very good point. Shadow banned for days. Well, we have two shadow bans. We have like a good shadow ban and a shadow band. We have like an evil shadow band and a good shadow band. Okay. Thanks for being here, good shadow band. Evil shadow band. See how much better it would be if you were the good shadow band? Well, Phoenix, I appreciate when you say I'm an American and 80% of us just want to go to work and provide for our families. We're as sick of it all as the rest of the world. Yeah, I don't even know why you say 80. I think, most of us, 80%, underestimates the number that just want to go to work and provide for their families or provide for themselves to survive. That's what everybody in America wants. Nobody doesn't want that. I guess maybe people don't really want to go to work that much. But I don't know what the 80% is. But when some people choose a job of kidnapping other people, those aren't Americans. Those are traitors. When people choose jobs of trolling people to support that stuff, those aren't Americans. Those are just traitors. Those are just trolls. Like, none of these things are acceptable in America. They're treason. Kidnapping is life in prison. So we're starting there. All right, there are a bunch of kidnappers, and that's life in prison. But it's treason. These chive ass turkeys, what's happening? Thank you. I will. So the fact that it's treason, the fact that the military should know, if they get deployed to Minnesota, if they go there, it's kind of an illegal order that they went there, but they're not in trouble for going there necessarily. They could be useful. They just have to side with the citizens. The military has to side with the citizens if they get deployed to Minneapolis, or just talk about it enough that Trump's dumbass knows he should not do that, that it will be the end of his ICE agents if he deploys the military to Minneapolis. If people are talking openly enough about this, it should be really easy for Trump to chicken out. He's not going to invade Greenland when they're going to stop him. He's not going to invade Minneapolis when the army's going to side with the people. No, it's real easy to see, dude. Even if only one soldier started it, that would be a movie version. I keep telling people this. The movie version would be, the army is deployed in front of ICE in Minneapolis, and then one soldier walks across, and then another, and then another, and another, and then all the soldiers walk across. But that's not even what it's going to be like. If they actually deployed there, a large group will walk across and join the citizens. so large a group that I feel confident the rest of them, most of the rest of them would be like, oh, I was just tying my shoe, guys. I'll catch right up. I'll be right there. I was just tying my shoe. They'll all be bending down tying their shoes. Like, oh yeah, I was just about to head over there too. Because they're going to know the deal. And if we all talk about it enough, we all just describe that scenario. Somebody make an AI video of that scenario. Make a #1 award-winning short of that scenario right there. Like if we just talk about it enough, it happens in plenty of other countries. The military is honest and connected, and they see their cousin over there. Like America has a lot of, they might draw military from Colorado and Texas and Alaska, but dude, the 2 people they shot in Minnesota are from Colorado. So, like where are they really going to get military in America who doesn't have relatives in the crowd that they're supposed to be going against? But they're not relatives of the ICE terrorists. None of those are their fucking relatives. Or if they are, they can't tell because they're wearing masks, right? So dude, this is easy fucking math. You lose your martial law, you lose it. What happened to the South Korean president who declared martial law? He got kicked out and thrown in jail. So we just need to have that exact same plan for if Trump tries to do it. But we really need to do is not find out, wait for whether or not he declares martial law. Impeach his ass now. Have these conversations so that your 4 or 5 or 6 Republican senators, whatever you need, or however many Congress people you need, you impeach him now so you can have midterms. If you want to ensure having midterms, impeach Trump now. Impeach, remove, execute, because he is a traitor. We should be talking about what the results are for this. Can we trade this guy for Venezuelans? You shouldn't have taken any Venezuelans to begin with. They also incapacitated the Cuban guards and murdered them. They executed the Cuban guards after they incapacitated them with some type of sound weapon or microwave weapon or something. They're total Nazis and terrorists. Anybody who obeyed those illegal orders along that chain of command or the chain of command that kidnapped Don Lemon are traitors. They're traitors and terrorists. They all should be in jail. We should all be talking about how anybody who kidnapped Maduro, Don Lemon, or any of your neighbors are traitors. Anybody who helped them kidnap them, including these motherfuckers in comments, in my opinion, anybody who helped them kidnap them, anybody who supported them in any way, traitors and terrorists. That's what they are. But let's start with the ones who were doing it. Everybody up the chain of command that allowed the kidnapping of Don Lemon and the kidnapping of Maduro and the kidnapping of tens of thousands of people from America. Everybody in those chains of command. And by the time we get to Trump and the Supreme Court and the FBI, I told the FBI to their fucking face, and I'm telling them right now, there's going to be Americans in your agency who know that you're traitors. Just telling you, soon enough, one of them's going to get on the shift. Soon enough, one of them's going to get on the case. Trump's the Antichrist. Okay? Trump's only power is in evil, fear, money, shit like that. Lies. It's all destroyed by the truth. Jesus destroys all Antichrist Trumpism. This is true Jesus stuff. It's not Christianity. Christianity is largely Antichrist, leads to Trump. How many churches are standing up for Don Lemon right now? This is the time. If a church can't stand up for Don Lemon, reporting on people doing what Jesus did, if the church can't stand up for that, if Americans can't stand up for that, you're not Americans, and you're not from Jesus. You don't represent Jesus, and your church is primed to be replaced. Church of Judas replaces all patriarchy, Christianity, war, and Trumpism. Check out the hashtag Church of Judas. Check out my content under the hashtag Church of Judas, or check out my book, The Book of Judas, explaining the Gospel of Judas. Replacing all patriarchy, Christianity, war, and Trumpism. Go talk to churches in your area if they've heard about the Church of Judas and whether or not it's going to replace their church, because Jesus says it is. And that's how you'll find out. So, all right, I'm going to let it go because it looks like we don't have any good people in chat. If we did have any good people in chat, if you want to leave an emoji really quickly before I end the live, I'll read all your comments. But if you weren't a good person if you were a good person in chat and I missed your comments, sorry. I missed you. But I didn't really read the comments because It's usually just a bunch of troll Trump mutineers. Oh yeah, Outlaw. What did Outlaw say? I know Outlaw's good. What did Outlaw say? He said, "Hey, my friend, preach it, brother. Thanks for being here." Little bunch of little Adolfs in chat once again. I mean, I wouldn't allow him. Realistic American put emojis in the chat. Let's see what his comments were. Oh, that person's like bragging on the kidnappers of Don Lemon. So realistic-American-Reformer is a channel that's bragging about kidnapping Don Lemon. They just wanted to draw attention to themselves. So, but I'll probably shut it down. No, Church of Judas is going to replace all Christian churches. Check out the hashtag Church of Judas. And in order to contact Jesus, if you've been taken in by the Antichrist Trump, then you need to betray Trump. That's one way you can. That's one way you can remember it. You need to betray the Antichrist Trump to come back to Jesus. So we're going to replace all their churches. That's just a prophecy from Jesus. That's just what makes all of my content religious speech and freedom of speech for one, and freedom of religion. Covered under both of those things. We got this. So we replace your churches. That's the Church of Judas. Check out the hashtag Church of Judas. You got to either choose Jesus or Trump. Jesus or Antichrist Trump. Just like you got to either choose America or Trump. You can't have both. We're going to have one or the other, America or Trump. Just like you got to choose guns or Trump. Trump's terrorist attacks on Alex Preddy, Don Lemon, and all of us have shown this to be true. So those are the things you can choose. America, guns, Jesus, or Trump. You're not a Southern Baptist. You would have done chose guns a while ago if you were a Southern Baptist. You're fake as fuck, dude. Was one battle after another self-critique and left to protest? It was just kind of crap. It was kind of like the I Am Blakely channel or all these other fake leftists that you'll see that are just like places for leftists to be shitty to make the left look bad. Like that's one reason I did this live is because somebody was like, the kidnapping of Don Lemon or the arrest of Don Lemon, the kidnapping of Don Lemon was just a distraction for the Epstein files. No, it's like an actual kidnapping of an actual black man to make a point of a terrorist attack, a kidnapping of a black gay guy who's a journalist, but kidnapping him for being a journalist. They weren't necessarily kidnapping him for being black and gay, but they were kidnapping him for being a journalist. So it's a terrorist attack to instill terror on people by attacking our First Amendment freedom of the press and freedom of speech. Just like the terrorist attack of Alex Preddy. And somebody in the I Am Blakely chat said it was just a distraction from the Epstein files. It's not. It is a distraction from the Epstein files, and it's a kidnapping of a black person and a terrorist attack on our First Amendment. But it's also a kidnapping. It's not Epstein only, it's Epstein and. It's a distraction from the Epstein files, and it's a terrorist attack on our First Amendment, and it's the kidnapping of a black person, and it's showing that they're going to do these illegal operations. Look, we got the FBI to do our illegal operation, or whoever they got to do this one. Look, we got the Army we got this entire chain of command to do an illegal operation to kidnap Maduro. That should be a trap. We should say, okay, we did all this as a trap, Psych. It was all a trap to see who was willing to do it. We put out $50,000 bonuses to see who was willing to be kidnappers so we could catch a bunch of kidnappers. But that only makes sense if you catch these people. That only makes sense if they have consequences for what they did. So, hey, we wanted to dangle the presidency out there and see if Trump would take the presidency and do a bunch of treasonous stuff to prove that he was a traitor. Well, he did. So, consequences. We wanted to see whether the Supreme Court would vote to give him immunity so that we have the outright duty and obligation to remove them, to impeach them, and try them for treason. And they did. Trump sued to starve us and take our food stamps away. The Supreme Court ruled that he could starve us and take our food stamps away. It's not only Antichrist, it's anti-American, and you know what it is. It's Putin's plan to destroy America. Dude, I'm the one who tells you this news. I'm just an intelligent person who comes up with this synopsis of the day's news. And people want to make it like, oh, so if they ever arrest people for anything, you're calling it kidnapping. No, I mean, I'm not really bragging on the cops' reasons for arresting people, but what I am saying is if it's ever necessary, it's necessary. But when it's kidnapping, it's kidnapping. And these aren't police officers. These aren't law enforcement. These are masked goons, Klansmen. That's what they are. They're just Klansmen and Nazis. Like, they're just kidnappers and terrorists. If you guys support them, you're supporting terrorism. In my book, if they've ever arrested anybody or seized their property for supporting any other terrorists, they should have this full extreme penalties for you guys for supporting those terrorists. Everything, they're against every amendment. They're doing a terrorist attack on every amendment. Thanks for being here, Vendetta. Sorry if I missed some of your comments before. Since you left one, I'll go ahead and check them out and see what you said. Yeah, good evening. MAGA is making China great again. It's against the Fourth Amendment. But yeah, thank y'all for being here. I'm going to shut down the live because it wasn't that great, but we'll see y'all later. And we got to stop these terrorists that, I don't know. I'd like to do something different. I'd like to go ahead and shift into the post-Trump era, so hopefully somebody else will do their job.